Good evening. I hope I am audible.
Hi, good evening. Am I audible? Are you all tired from the day? Huh? You can't hear me? Okay. Are you all active? Are you all tired? Or you're waiting for the drinks and the dinner? Yeah, okay. So we will try to keep it as short as possible. For those who know me know it won't be short. Um, so so we will start. Kiran, over to you.
Next chart, please.
Why don't you use it? Yeah. I don't need this. I'm okay.
Let me start with thanking all of you. We are on this stage because of the investment, commitment, and the business you have given to IBM. So thank you all once again on behalf of IBM. So we all live in an era where technology is influencing every part of our life. We all evolved during the pandemic age. We all became digital. Now we are evolving with other changes in technology that is happening in the market. So Lata, I would like you to take the audience through what does IBM see as a market opportunity that we can work with the partners.
Thanks, Kiran. And this is a good stage because a number of partners that I saw come on stage, I am sure do not know what IBM is doing, right? So one of the key things about IBM is being relevant, right? And that means being relevant not as just as IBM, but as the ecosystem or as your organizations. How do you continue to be relevant to the industry? And that's a question in the minds of everyone, right? I'll not go about the COVID, but one thing that has definitely happened is the way we live, the way we enjoy, the way we want everything at the touch of our finger is something that we always have, right? Now, what's happened is that overall industry is dependent on three things, right? And you would have seen that, the Trimurti of Jandhan, Aadhaar, and mobile, right? So what the industry is undergoing is a result of these three, right? The adoption of the UPI, the entire Aadhaar, your biometric. Earlier you used to say Angutha Chap, now it has to be the Angutha, right? And then the mobile, because everyone is using the mobile, right? And that is what life is about. That's what the industry is happening. The critical thing that's happened in the recent past is the 5G rollout. All of you would have been, all of you know, but what's going to change with the 5G rollout and what's impacting the industry is the fact that with the 5G rollout, you're going to have 10x the throughput, right? 10x the number of devices and a reduction of 15x on the latency. So how is that going to impact all of you? How is it going to impact the industry? Is the fact that there will be data at the edge. The amount of data that is being churned, and all of us are familiar with it because we are part of the industry that is churning the data, is going to be immense. From a business side, it is going to be data at the edge, and therefore how you really move that data, how you analyze that data, and how you use that data is going to be critical for all of us. What we have is a cognitive framework, and this is something that I want each of you to apply, not just to the industries that you're serving, but to the industry that you are, which is the IT service industry, right? And let's keep it, what's happening in the industry, whether it is manufacturing, whether it is banking, whether it is the public sector, IT, ITS, education, and anything else, is being driven by the fact that you have a big focus on where are our winning bets, right? The industry is talking about it. Where do we make more money? Where do we invest? That's a big one, right? So you're looking at new investments, you're looking at new business development, and all of you, I'm sure, are looking at the same thing. What's going to drive the next big wave? Then you're looking at how do we really orchestrate that compelling change, right? And it's a platform business that's being driven. So we hear about platform business, not just as you giving services, but agriculture as a platform. You're looking at banks, which traditionally did only banking, doing much more. Earlier, one of the, I remember from Dell, he talked about between the travel airlines and the hotel industry is all the travel agencies which are Make My Trip and the others who are helping you. That's a platform, right? So everyone is talking about platforms. Now, how are you going to use that platform is by the fact that you will have intelligent workflows. What is intelligent workflows? And this I'm going to say is, what is a technology that is getting embedded within the platforms that the end clients are driving to drive value for themselves as well as from their customers. Just let me give an example. It's no longer about what's inside, what's outside, but out there. Yes, do you get that or not? Yeah, it's about out there because we really don't know till where our end clients are. We don't know where the data is being churned. And that's a very critical factor. It's no longer about just what we know, but what's out there that we don't know. And therefore, you need to really look at how are you going to manage the intelligent workflows that are driving it, right? Driving the value from the data. And ultimately, looking at what is being driven both on the hybrid cloud. And I'll cover hybrid cloud from the perspective of all of us who are from the IT industry. But what's also happening is the fact that everything is also connected to the fact that how is humanity or how are humans impacted, right? Human technology partnership, right? One thing that's happening, and in the morning I was at the data center, e-governance data center thing. One thing is definitely there, our touch with each other, our human touch is reducing, right? When you go to banks, those of you who are old as me would remember sitting in front and we were very comfortable with the banker as well. You don't do that anymore. So the human technology partnership is increasing because the number of tractions that you're doing with humans is reducing as well, because you're looking at how do we get rid of the mundane task and how do we automate it. And that is an important part that I will cover, right? The other is how are we really building skills? By the way, and the skills is not just our own skills, it's our team skills, right? Who do we have in our team? That's you. And at the client end, whether it is a banking industry, whether it is a public sector industry, everyone is concerned on what is the skill set that I'm bringing into my organization. Also, what is the leadership that I'm building? And finally, what you're looking at is how do we move things with agility? How do we move fast, but also sustainable, right? Sustainable is a big word, and I'm going to say that again and again, because as IT industry, if we're not talking to our clients on all these aspects, then we're not doing our job right. Because the clients are definitely talking about it. They know much more than us. They listen to each one of us. All the OEMs go separately, all the partners go separately, and therefore their knowledge of information is much more. So are we really talking about what matters to them? Right? So let me give you, again, let's get to the next slide.
So Lata, that was a good view you gave on what you're seeing in the industry. But can you tell us what are the technology bets that IBM is putting on to address this market opportunity that we have?
Sure. If you go to the next slide, let me share with you areas that we are focusing on. And this is for those who may not be familiar with IBM. Let me quickly cover on the fact that we have two teams. One is a technology team and one is a consulting team. Those of you who know it earlier as GBS, you know GTS is spun off as Kyndryl, so there's no SI. And then we have a software stack, and the software stack is basically put into categories of automation, and that is IT automation, business automation. We're looking at integration, and we're also looking at the fact that you have observability coming in, right? Big word, I keep stumbling on it, but observability is the word of it, right? Then you have analytics, right? And analytics is structured and unstructured data, and many of you may be partners with others, but the key part of it is how are you really looking at structured and unstructured data, and I'll give you an example of a few use cases for those who are doing SAP and the others is where do you really get into data analytics with your client. And then you have security. One of the things that we all know is security is critical, right? It's not about just, an earlier talk we said, what is the most vulnerable is from your employees, but the fact is security has to be embedded everywhere. It's no longer about a security partner coming in separately or a security OEM coming in secured, but the entire piece of, from the person using to the application, to the data center, to the server, how secure is everything, and even then you're not very sure whether you're secure, right? So it is be prepared for what may happen in spite of taking every precaution that you can, because you will. It's not about you will be hacked, when will you be hacked? I think that's the important one, and so clients will really want to know about that. And then we have sustainability. You're jumping, Kiran?
Sorry.
Okay, so sustainability, right? Now, what is sustainability? All of us really know about sustainability. Our clients are talking about sustainability. Those of you who have done data center business ages back will know we all talked about green data center. But it's no longer about just the IT carbon footprint. It's about carbon footprint in every process that you're delivering, right? It's about embedding sustainability in every process. Are we talking about that? IBM is focused, and IBM's portfolio of sustainability includes Maximo. For those of you who are familiar with it, it is the non-IoT IT device management. Your metros, your rapid transport, some of the other areas are using Maximo. In fact, one of the best examples that I can give you is Indian Air Force for their pilots, aeroplanes, uses Maximo for looking at spare parts and looking at how fast are we looking at spare parts and how do we really deliver those spare parts based on the usage that we have, right? So that's Maximo. We also have blockchain, we have Sterling, and we have a solution that we acquired called Envisy, which looks at the carbon footprint. Now that's a large portfolio. And then, for those of you who've been with us for years, there is definitely power, there is mainframe, and there is storage. Today we did the launch of Linux One, that's a mainframe with Linux, and we did that today in Delhi at the park. And for many of you who are fans of mainframe, you'll know now with the OpenShift, and we talked in the morning, the public sector, the comment was talking about open source, but it's not really about open source, right? Open source is something that people will ask for, but it's about coexistence, right? You need to have the right software, and you need to really worry on the open source as well, because you need to be secure. So it's about how do you blend the two, and many of you I know will say, oh, but all RFPs come out with open source. Yes, but the point is how secure is the solution that we have to look at? How does it integrate? And the clients are open to looking at that. So that's what it is. OpenShift, Red Hat, embedded in everything. And then at the bottom, as you see, we partner with not just all of you, but we also partner with the hyperscalers, including the data center service providers who call themselves the hyperscalers as well. So that is where we are. So it's about modernizing, securing, automating, and securing yourself, right? These are some of them, and I really wanted to talk on this so that all of you can look at where you're going to go through. We've acquired a number of organizations or number of companies. Let me talk about Turbonomic and Instana. For those of you who are doing SI business, one of the key things is about how many of you have done our large SI partners, right? You have SLAs with your client. You have data centers and SWANs that are coming up. Earlier we were looking at SLAs, but it's about KPIs now, right? And that's what we should be looking at. But what's also critical is the application resource management. ARM is what we call it, right? Is all your clients, and you are proponent to that, are moving on the cloud, right? One of the things that gets worrisome to people is, okay, I decided to go to the cloud because the TCO was really great, but my check that I'm cutting out every month is now much beyond what my TCO gave me. So we have a solution called Turbonomic, which looks at ensuring that you are optimizing your cloud consumption to be able to cut down and optimize your infrastructure underneath, and therefore are able to bring to the client savings on the table, right? What does the client want? They want their infrastructure up and running, they want their application up and running, but they don't want to give the cost, right? So that is what it is. So Turbonomic and Instana, you know, from an application monitoring side. So all of you who are in SI, this is the piece that you would be interested in. For those of you who know Tivoli, these two products fit in with our Tivoli portfolio. WDG, I wanted to talk, and I won't talk on the others, is the RPA side of it, right? Automation is one thing that I talked about. All your clients, in fact, in the morning I was talking to a client. The client wanted to look at how do we help them ease the automation and ensure that there's reduction of human intervention in work that they're doing. So that is the automation part of it. I'll not talk about these, but I'll talk about one or two examples that our clients are looking for. One is the entire part of API, right? For those of you who are familiar with SBI, HDFC, or any banking client, you will look at API as a critical part of integration, right? In the government stage, you're looking at Department of Mines, Department of Food, how are they interacting with other players, and that's where our API piece comes in. One more, okay? One more that's a very important one that is there is, how many of your clients talk about challenges they have managing their own internal stuff? How many of you? Do you ever go to your client and rather than sell anything, say, do you have challenge in managing your sales? How can I manage your sales, right? We have worked with clients, and this is an insurance company, to say, can we look at what your sales agents do, analyze that data, and give you what does it take to make the best salesperson, right? And therefore, and this is with an insurance agency that we've done it, by the way. With Asian Paints, we've done another analytics piece of identifying where does the paint, what color of paint in which part of the country is ideal for someone to stock, right? If you talk about these use cases with your clients, you'll have intelligent conversations of what they want, because it doesn't matter whether you want to sell it or not, right? You may say, look, am I really positioning data AI? It doesn't matter, but at least ask what is their pain. Because when you ask about their pain is when you have the conversation going on. Ultimately, you're going to sell the low-hanging fruit, right? But the conversation will make you relevant to your client and ensure that there is a conversation that you're carrying on. You want me to cover this? I do want to cover the earlier one. I think the important part of why are we so relevant to the Indian market, and for those of you who are not familiar, is we to have the IBM software labs and the system labs. These are global missions in India, and we have the research lab. So when we are doing large projects like income tax, we're doing indirect taxes, we're doing passport seva, or we're doing any of the larger banking industry, our clients and our partners understand we have skill set and development in India to help them. And that is what is keeping us going for large enterprise projects. So for each one of you, have faith that when you're taking an IBM solution to the end client, there is an IBM lab that is sitting here.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was really insightful.
So the theme is around profitability. I just want to leave this chart in front of you, because as partners, one is, while we spoke about the market opportunities and the trends and the investment IBM is making, what is interested is, as partners, is what is in it for me? This is what, as partners, you can make money. From a software standpoint of view, you can see you can make margins all the way up to 49% of the transactional value.
Is it that easy, Kiran?
It is. It is as simple. As long as you have the right competencies, you are able to make close to 49% of the transaction value as your margins. This is very, very important. And as you heard Lata speaking, we are doubling down on software. Software is our growth engine, and this is where you can make money.
I think the most important part is all the software solutions from IBM need high-end services. Therefore, it is going to be about you building your skill set, and therefore charging your clients on the services that you give. Any software solution that gives you 5x the services is the one that you should go for if you want to look at profitability.